Once again, Kate forgets to turn on the recorder at the beginning. Jackie, you got to remind me when you're in here. Okay, so moving on and looking at some of these different things. Again, this one may be familiar to some of you, but I did want to at least go back to it. So no, the searching that I've been doing so far is either using these links or just, you know, basic searching. You can also obviously get a little more sophisticated in here, like, you know, thinking because Kim is in here, for instance, and if you have not met Kim, she is the athletic secretary at Libertyville High School, because I know I've got Vernon and Libertyville people in here. And so Kim might do something like maybe she's looking ahead to next fall. So she might do something like if she starts typing fall, it's going to show her the fields that have to do with fall. And if for some reason you do on your own computers, you type the beginnings of a field name and you don't see this drop down of fields, that's because you don't have Smart Search turned on. So if anybody needs that, let me know in the chat window and I'll go show you real quick how to do that. But otherwise, what Kim would do is she'd pick the field she was interested in. And then maybe she just wants to know, like, how many kids have a fall sport? You know, she might just be looking for a count. Now, I'm in Vernon right now, so I'd actually be doing this for Kathy, not Kim, but same idea. So she could either say not equal to, which is the pound sign, and by leaving that blank after that, she says not equal to blank. That's going to be that right now we have 498 kids at Vernon Hills who have a fall sport listed. Okay, now we haven't cleared out this year's data, so that's really how many kids played this year in a fall sport. If we wanted to know how many kids didn't have a fall sport, we would use an equals with nothing after it, because we're saying that field is equal to blank. So remember that first number was 498, which I'm jotting down on my scratch paper here. And if I do this one now, that's 1021. And if I added those together, that had better come up to be the total number of Vernon Hills kids, because it should be the kids who don't have a fall sport plus the kids who do have a fall sport would be all of our kids. Or she can get more specific. And this is where equals is going to get you into trouble unless you're have a way better memory than I do. Because if she wanted to find all the kids who were in football in the fall, for instance, what if she doesn't remember how that got entered? Like, do we abbreviate it FB for football? Do we call it boys football, whatever? So a smarter way to do this would be the word contains. So if you're not sure, I might even just say contains foot. And then I'm going to see, that's partly because I'm too lazy to type the whole thing. And so when I do that, 73 kids presumably are involved with football. Okay. If I did, you know, contains, what's another fall sport? Cross country runs in the fall, doesn't it? Sure enough. So I've got, you know, the kids in cross country. But now if I didn't come up with anything on cross, maybe I would think, okay, I wonder if they do like XC, which I've seen sometimes for cross country. And I'd be like, nope, that's definitely not it. So you just kind of play around if you don't know what the data looks like. But that's why contains is just a really nice entry to know about. So that's kind of a nice search term that I do definitely use on occasion. So there's a lot of different parameters there. And what I will say, and I can show you in a minute if you want, on the Tech Zone, on the PowerSchool page, there is an entire document about searching that has a lot of these keywords in it. And that would be kind of a handy thing to have, you know, access to or bookmark even if you're, you know, curious about that. PowerSchool used to have a better thing right on their home page about searching. And actually in that new version, they're going to go back to having a link there again about that, which I think is actually going to be kind of nice. If you don't know something like these field names, that's where you would go to that view field list. And I'm not going to spend a great deal of time on this, but, and so if you're looking for something, you know, maybe you're looking for something about sports, and so you type in the word sport, and then here's all the fields that have them. Like, oh yeah, the one that I wanted was fall sport. Or, you know, she might want to look for all the kids who participate in varsity for any sport. So that would be like my fall sport level contains varsity. So you can get really some pretty good subgroups of kids with these. Now, what if what somebody needs is a combination of things? So what if you need to know all of the kids who are playing football, but you only, well, actually, let me do this one. I want to show you this. So if we look at this group, we see a smattering of grade levels. It's not all one grade level of kids. And obviously some of these kids are not varsity, some are. But what if I'm only interested in, for whatever reason, freshmen playing football? So the interesting thing here is the old way to do this would be to type in your first thing, put a semicolon, and then type your next thing that you're looking for. So if I said gender, yes, I can type equals, and what is my problem? I don't want gender, I want grade level. Then you have to know the field names more, which is kind of a pain because the field list doesn't really come into play too well here. So this statement here would actually do it, but you got to know about the semicolon. You got to know your field names. It's a little bit more work. Instead, what I would suggest is we're going to do this. I'm going to turn on advanced. Then I'm going to, I've already got my football kids, right? I've got those 73 kids who are in football. So now what I can do is, now that advanced is turned on, I could do a selection for, where is it? Ninth graders. So I can click 9. Okay, get 386 kids. So I've got the 73 football players. I've got the 386 ninth graders. Now what I want to do is say, see this within over here? So I want to know which of these ninth graders are within that selection of 73 players. So when I click within, and I wait very patiently, now suddenly I'm down to 20 kids and they're all ninth graders. So these are my ninth grade football players. So advanced, if you need to keep kind of drilling down and drilling down and drilling down, can be really, really helpful. And it is way easier than trying to do this big long thing with semicolons and everything else. So really nice tool. And then you can still do other things. You can still select by hand. You can still do any of the functions like exporting or whatever else you'd want to do. And you can keep going. If I wanted to narrow that down to, trying to think of something, or, you know, the interesting thing too, maybe I also want the 10th graders, okay? I know, actually I kind of killed that one. I'll have to do that in another one, but you can add groups to it. So maybe you have some kind of really oddball group, like you need freshman football players, and then, okay, I've got it. What if we add in fall sport contains, what did I say, cross country, right? Okay, so I'm going to do that one. And I'm just going to do the search. Okay, so remember down here we have 20 freshman football players. Now I'm going to do a search for cross country players. There's 86 of them. But I want to add those to the list of 20. Does that make sense? So I'm adding my soccer players to the other group. So I'm adding. So now I've got 106, my 86 plus my 20. Now, what if I want to get back down to just freshman soccer players and football players? Now I'm going to do my, well, yeah, okay, I thought I skipped a step here. So now I'm going to go look for all of my freshmen. So back to that 386, but then I'm going to look for them within that group below. Does that make sense? So now I'm going to do within again. So now I've got the 20 freshman football players and the 20 freshman cross-country people. So it took me a few steps, but that could have been a lot of other work using some other methodology. Okay, so then you can do whatever it is you needed to do. Print labels, do an export, you know, whatever your next step is. So all the things I'm showing today are really different ways to select groups of students. Now, I'm going to go a different direction for a minute here. Oh, before I do though, I do want to say one thing. When you are not trying to do like these groups and multiple criteria, my personal recommendation is that you would turn advanced off. It does get kind of irritating when you're just doing simple searches. So when you're done doing kind of whatever that specific need is, I would probably turn advanced off and, you know, go back to the normal thing. You'll probably like that a little bit better. So just something to think about. Okay, so just a couple of little quickies, okay? And these may not be answers you need too often. They could be starting points too. So another little interesting tool that probably nobody ever bothers to look at is this enrollment summary. So if you go to the enrollment summary, now remember right now I'm looking at Vernon Hills High School. So, excuse me, when I look at the enrollment summary, it does break things down by how many in the grades, you know, some ethnicity things somewhere in here. Thought I had gender. Hold on a sec here. Maybe not, thought I did. Oh, I do, pink and blue, sorry. So if you look at the total in grade, like I'm looking at grade 10, again, Vernon Hills, total of 396, oh, actually the 386, because we were just looking at freshmen, right? And we know there were 386 of them. 188 are boys, 198 are girls. So by just clicking one of these, freshman girls, boom, there's my select, you know, there's my group. All I would have to do is say, make those students the current selection. So it's a quick way just to do a grade level and gender. And then, okay, so let's say right now, these are grade 9 girls. I'm going to make that my current selection. Okay, so there's 198 of them. If I go back to the enrollment summary, and for some weird reason, maybe I want junior girls at the same time, I'm going to pair them up or something like that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my enrollment summary again. I'm going to click on the junior girls number. And then once that list comes up, instead of choosing to make that the current selection, I'm going to add them to it. So now I've got my freshman girls and my junior girls. It just kind of went at it as from a different angle than just doing it from the main screen. So you're not going to need those that often, but there's that total number combined. But that was done through the enrollment summary. Mostly good for gender and grade level because most of us don't need to deal with ethnicity very often, but there's that. So again, just a little trick. Another, depending on your role, another handy way to do some selecting of groups of students, depending on what you need to do with them in the first place, is through teacher schedules. So if I click on teacher schedules right now and let that link slowly come up, you know, here's my list of all the teachers who are actively teaching in this current semester at Vernon Hills. And it's always really easy for me to pick on one particular person here. So we'll click on Tony Isabelli, and it's going to come up with his schedule. Now it's going to default to the full year schedule, which is kind of going to give you some redundancies in a way because we break our classes out by semesters. So what I'm probably going to do, if and when this screen ever comes up, is I'm going to change to showing just semester 2. So I just see the classes that he's actually teaching right now. Because right now I'm still defaulting to the full year term. So patience is not my strong point when I'm waiting for these things while I'm teaching. I'll tell you right now. I just want to snap, 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 be there. But eventually, I feel like I want to get out and push. You can do it. Seriously? You know, every so often. Maybe it just doesn't want me to do toning. That could be it. I can see it working down in the bottom left-hand corner. Ah, that's better. I almost don't want to click another button here, but I do want to narrow this down a little. So I'm going to go to 1920 semester 2, which will shorten his list. Because what I want you to see here is if for some reason I needed to do something with all of his classes, then I could simply click make all students listed above the current selection. So now I've got all of his students. Now, as you can see, he's teaching 3 sections of the same thing. So if I just needed his AP Lang kids, and this might be maybe there's going to be a field trip or something, you know, along those lines. So what I could do is you click the number of kids in the class. And then once the list of kids comes up, because that's what's going to happen, you can make that group the current selection. Then, and I'm not going to do the whole grouping, but I just want you to see, again, it's the same kind of idea because you can see next to it, there was an add to the current selection. So now here, I could do one of 2 things. I could go back to the start page, back to teacher schedules, go select Tony again and have all that fun. Or I could actually try using my back button and my back button again. And of course, it's going to be annoying. Fine. Just look at one more group real quick. So, and again, once I get back to this list, and at least this time it's going to be only a semester 2 classes, then I would click, I'll use this one because it's a different number. I'll get the 21 kids from his 7th hour. And when they come up, then I will add that to the current selection. So this can be a handy way to get all the kids in just specific classes for some reason because you need to do whatever function it is with that group. So here I would add those to the current selection, which would be my 19 plus my 21, which is adding up to 40, which even I can do that one in my head. So teacher schedules is another handy tool. But now, taking that same idea, I'm going to go back to some start page searching again and go a little bit of a different way. There are some special fields, and some of these are one of the things that is in my materials on the Tech Zone for you. So there are some special fields. I'm going to scroll on my cheat sheet because I don't remember them all, the wording exactly. Here's what I want. Okay. So for example, let's say I need a class number here. I'm on Vernon. Okay. So let's say for whatever reason, I am interested in all of my students who are enrolled in U.S. history. So I can do this special field that is, the special fields all start with an asterisk. So it's asterisk enrolled underscore in, kind of weird wording, but that is what it is, equals, and then you would put a course number. Now if I put a course number, make sure I use the Vernon number, I'll hit enter and I can talk while it's working. Oh, that was fast. So 138 kids are enrolled in U.S. history. Now, think about that for a minute, because typically that's a junior year class. However, that particular course number is probably just regular. So it doesn't include my honors U.S. history. It is just literally that one course number. If you were interested in one section number, you could say that section, there's probably a .1, so I'm going to try that. I honestly don't know. If I did, oh, you know what? I'm going to guess there won't be any in that one, right, because it's semester 2. So I'm going to go with 1001. Let's try that. Okay, so there's 27 kids in that course section combination. So kind of an alternative to what I was doing with the teacher schedule things. It kind of depends on how you want to do things. So if I do just that course number, that could be spread across multiple teachers. I don't really know that from this list of kids here, but if I exported more data about them or something, they would be in different classes with different teachers. But if I just had to do some kind of thing with all the kids in U.S. history, this would get me started. And if I did that combined with advanced, let's say that the number for U.S. history is 9262. So I would do that search first. Then if the honors one was 9264, then I would do the search for that and add it to the first group. So you can kind of keep building with that. So there are some different special words like that. Another one, okay, this is a little bit more fun, but I know
interrupt you for a minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you find those course numbers? Where are those listed?
I will be happy to show you that, okay? If you need the course numbers, and again, if you ask somebody else this, they might give you a different path. You know, there's definitely different ways to get there. Here's what I like. I go to school, this link on the left that says school.
Yeah.
I scroll down. Usually what I think works best is to go to sections. So school and then sections. And once you get to sections, there you can sort it by number or by name. So typically, I do not know what all the number ranges are. So I just sort it by name and then I start scrolling down until I get to something really original like U.S. history. And you do have to watch it because like I said, there are going to be multiple numbers for that. So if I get down to the U's, not that I had to use history, but you know, I would have to decide how many of these flavors of U.S. history I really needed for my example, but that's where the numbers are right there.
Right, okay.
So for me, that's usually how I go get them. Donna or, you know, Laura might tell you something completely different, but I know that's what I do. Okay, so back on the start page, I'm not going to go through all of these. Another one though, Jackie might find this one of interest, for example. Let's say asterisk has not, actually let's do this one. I am going to turn on advanced for a minute. We might as well do something more realistic, right? I'm going to pick all of my, let's hope there aren't any in this set, but let's pick all of my my seniors, okay? And I'm going to set that as the current selection. So my current selection is seniors. Then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to say has not completed. Now this is not a great example, but you've got the general idea, equals 9262, which is U.S. history. So now I'm going to do that search. That's going to be a boatload of kids. And it's a big boat. Okay, so all of these kids, different grade levels, have not completed U.S. history. Well, that makes sense because some of these are freshmen. It's not even time for them to do U.S. history, right? But what if I look for any of these kids who are within my grade 12 set? So now, I don't know if they're, sorry, there will be some, because I only use the one U.S. history number. So I've got 218 kids. Now, to be fair, some of those did U.S. History Honors, which is not what I checked. So this is only a partial example, but it's a nice illustration of where you can start to go to by saying, give me all the kids. I want all my seniors who have not completed, consumer science or something like that. So it's intended as kind of like a counselor / registrar tool for determining where kids might be with things. So that's what it's originally built for. So there's a number of those, and then I'll just toss in one more. There's several variations on this one, but like I know Libertyville has the birthday wall in the hallway. So if you wanted to find all the kids who have a birthday, either on a specific date, like, well, today. So birthday equals 5/8. Looks like we have 3 kids who are having a birthday today. Or the alternative to that one, actually. So you could plan ahead. So you could do like a whole birthday wall or something. Or you could do just simply birthday equals today if you were doing today's date. So, so like I said, just kind of a little fun one, but handy to have. So again, those are some, I think there's a few more, but those are some of the ones that come to my mind right this very minute here. So I want to take a quick look. If you have any specific questions, feel free to pop them in the chat window, or you can ask me in a sec. I'm just scrolling my notes to make sure there's nothing earth-shakingly critical that I did not do as I'm running lower on time. Okay. No, those were kind of most of my really basic ones. I think I'll show you, I'm going to point you in one more direction here just for fun, because this is one I don't get to illustrate necessarily super often. And then there was something else I just thought of as I was looking at my list that's going to change in the next version, but darn, I can't think of what it is right now. Okay, so the last big thought that I'm going to show you, some of you may have seen this before, some of you may have not. There is another whole type of reporting, there's a lot of them in here. If we go to system reports, and I will say this is it's not always a speed demon in terms of performance, which probably means I'm going to regret doing this today with my internet issues. But if I go to system reports and I click on enterprise reporting, my screen will look a little different than yours actually, because I have some tools for managing the enterprise reporting. So you'll only see 4 things under enterprise reporting, but I'm going to go to one of those, which is student demographic, which is pretty basic data, you know, just things about the kid, their grade level, their gender, their, you know, different things like that. So, and again, this might not be your cup of tea, but I just like to kind of show you what some of the alternatives are. So what you can do with this thing is, maybe you only want to see, because this is everybody now. This should be, okay, actually, and I mean everybody. Look at the school column. Even though I was on Vernon Hills, this is everybody. Now, if you don't have access to both schools, it probably will default to just your school's data anyway. I have access to everybody, which is why. So the first thing I might want to do is kind of limit it to, you know, a particular school a little bit. So again, if I come here, well, actually, if I want to filter, so think spreadsheet almost a little bit here, if you do. So I can say that I want to filter by the school column, and I want to say it's only equal to Vernon Hills High School. So I could apply that. So now I'm only looking at Vernon. And then if I wanted to narrow it down to, let's do another filter. Let's see, what's a common, I don't even know what's a common name, but let's see if we have any Tiffany's, okay? I'm gonna apply that. Okay, we only have one, so not a great example. But again, what you can see is you can keep narrowing, narrowing, narrowing. You can sort, you can do all sorts of different things. Then you can set that to the current selection. Obviously, this is one kid. Or you can add to selection if you already had a selection. I'm gonna remove the, well, I don't have to remove it, I guess. So I could set that to the, make that the current selection. And then when I go back to PowerSchool, that is going to be who is currently selected and who I can act upon. Or there are also ways to export from this group and everything else. So it's a really pretty powerful tool if you want to come in here and play around a little bit. Because it also has, oh, I should point out too that what's the word I want to say? It opens in a new tab. So I'm going to close this, and that's going to just leave me back in PowerSchool. And if I go back to the home page right now in PowerSchool, we're going to see that the only selected person should be that one student, since I narrowed that down so horribly low. I thought we'd have more Tiffany's. What can I say? We might have had some other spellings, perhaps. And then, and I'm going to point out that, like I said, there's only 4 of those that are currently available right now, but one of those enterprise reports, for instance, thinking more maybe of Jackie, but does deal with grades, for instance, too, and some data more related to that. So, and again, you can see that that one student is now my selected student over here. So technically speaking, enterprise reporting, which you can just print a report or export or something, but it is also a way to select students. So my goal today was just to show you that there's a lot more options than just kind of typing something in that main search box at the front here. So there's a lot there for you to play with. And then real quickly, let me just go, probably have to sign in. I don't even think I've been here today. You can do it. Okay, let me sign in real quick. TechZone. So TechZone, PowerSchool, and under the admin portal resources, which I'm sure could use some updating, what you'll find once it displays is Search Like a Power User is the one I'm thinking of. Has a lot of those special terms and everything that I was showing you today. I'm gonna have to remember to update that come fall. So anyway, that would kind of give you a reference for some of the stuff I did talk about today. So if you have any questions, obviously more than happy to hang around for a few minutes and answer them. I just know that we're at the end of my specified time, and I do try to honor that. Either throw them in the chat window, ask me now, ask me later, whatever. So, and before I forget, one thing before you say it, thank you all for coming. So if anybody disappears, I just wanted to say thank you and have a lovely weekend. And we're all mothers and or at least daughters. Have a happy Mother's Day as well. Okay. So Jackie, what was your question?
Just listening to how you describe something, I do, for example, I need GPAs for just athletes. So the way I learned this was, by clicking that advanced, checking the field list, looking up the sport, but I was told to put a hashtag or a number sign after that. And you had said the number sign means not equal. So I just want to make sure I'm doing
number sign means not equal to. So what are you putting it after?
After the word fall sport.
Well, that would be for anybody where it's not blank, meaning anybody who is in a fall sport.
Okay, so
So
that's correct, the way I'm doing it then.
Yeah, so that is correct. So fall sport
Mhm.
with a pound sign after it means fall sport not equal to blank, which
Okay,
would be anybody in a fall sport.
yeah, cool.
So
All
that
right.
is
Once
correct.
I have my little notes correctly, because I know this is going to come up again next year when the athletic office needs GPAs so they can pick, the person that they need to pick. So, okay,
Right.
cool. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. Okay.
Okay, happy Mother's Day. Appreciate your time. I'm gonna
Anytime.
take care.
Yep. Have a good weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.